Our next guest speaker is no stranger to us, Dr. Azmi Sharom, Associate Professor in the Faculty of Law, University Malaya. He is an author for the book Brave New World, Greatest Hits, published in 2015. He's been very vocal in Malaysian civil society scene, and we would like to hear from him today as well. He has got some legal challenges recently as well, so welcome, Dr. Azmi. Please join us at the stage.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry, Isham, I'm not going to speak according to the topic. Because obviously reason is not a threat to faith and society, morons are. And, and there's, you know, we have a lot of them, right? We produce them in ever-increasing numbers. All right, so let's, okay. If I was to really talk about what I felt, then I'd go to jail again. So let's just keep it to the law, right? Okay. Sorry to bore you, but if reason is a threat to faith and society, and obviously some people think that it is, all right, what are the laws that they use to curtail freedom? What can we do about that? All right, and what are the laws which are relevant with regards to this issue? So that's what I will talk about for the next 15 minutes or so. All right. So okay, let's just look at the foundation of it all, the Constitution. All right. Just a few points in the Constitution, and then I will talk about cases and laws which are related to these points and how they are related to this topic. Because obviously there is an anti-intellectual movement in this country, particularly an anti-Islamic intellectual movement in this country. All right. So where is it coming from? What on earth are these people thinking, or are they thinking at all? Okay, so let's just look at very quickly. Let's just look at some of the. Okay, and I'm doing this because you're falling asleep on you, so it's okay. All right, I'm like Oprah Winfrey. Okay. You're going to interview? No. I'm just going to give them cars. Okay. The first one is. Article 3 of the Constitution says, Islam is the religion of the Federation, but other religions may be practiced in peace and harmony in any part of the Federation. Okay, got that? It's very straightforward, right? Islam is the religion of the Federation, but other religions may be practiced in peace and harmony in any part of the Federation. That's one. Okay, that's one point. The second one is Article 10, which is freedom of expression. Yeah? Every citizen has the right to freedom of speech and expression. Parliament, I got to be very clear, Parliament, that's the one on Jalan Parliament, okay, in KL, all right, okay, that one, the only parliament in the world with a water tank as part of its decoration, yeah? That parliament, they are the only ones who can make laws which impose restrictions on the freedom of expression. And they can only do so if it is for the security of the Federation, friendly international relations, public order or morality, or to protect the legislature, contempt of court, defamation, and to prevent incitement. Okay, so only Parliament can make laws restricting freedom of speech, and it's limited to these kind of reasons. Okay. Now the next one is Article 11. Every person has a right to profess and practice his religion, and subject to Clause 4 to propagate it. Okay, every person has a right to profess and practice his religion, and subject to Clause 4 to propagate it. That means every person, it says every person, that means every person, right? I don't know how some people understand English, but every person to me means every person. That means all people. As long as you're a person, you have a right to profess and practice your religion. The only thing that they can control with your religion is your right to propagate it. Okay, that means to try to spread your religion. Okay, now Schedule 9. Now we're moving to Schedule 9. This is right at the end of the Constitution. This Schedule 9 is the part of the Constitution which determines what the water tank parliament can make laws and what the other bodies, which are state legislatures, what areas can they make law. Okay, so Schedule 9 divides the law-making powers between our federal parliament and the state legislatures. And one of the things that, and this is a problem, yeah, this is one of the problems. One of the things that the state can make laws on is Sharia offenses. Okay, most of it is pretty boring kind of stuff. Marriage, divorce, really boring stuff, right? Property. But then they can also make laws creating offenses for acts that are against the precepts of Islam. What the hell does that mean? Right? And of course, they can make laws that control to control the propagating doctrines and belief amongst persons professing the religion of Islam. That one falls under Article 11. Remember Article 11? I said you have freedom except you cannot profess. You cannot propagate. And this propagation, if the state makes laws, they have the right to make laws to control your propagation. Okay? All right, now, that's the fundamental background. Right, still awake, huh? Now let's have a look at what, you see, how can reason be a threat when there's no reason? All right, when people, when you have authorities like judges who have no reason. Okay, I want to go to, I'm going to stop laughing, man, you're getting me in trouble. Okay, I want to go to the Herald case. You know the Herald case, the Catholic newsletter, the Herald, which was banned. Well, yeah, because of the word Allah, right? You cannot, if you're Catholic, you cannot use Allah because if a Muslim sees it, we get confused. I get seriously confused. All right, okay, if I see a Christian using Allah, I start shaking and my faith it just goes, I don't know, I don't know what I'll do, I'll start crossing myself by mistake, I don't know. All right, okay? So, yeah, all right, so, right, now, the Catholics, they're law-abiding, right? Because of course they're law-abiding. They're scared, right? Because they can get jumped on at any time. Although Muslims get jumped on more often than non-Muslims. All right, I can't do things that you guys can do. Right, there are lots of things that you guys can do. I can. But I can get in trouble for doing it, right? I can't hang out with Marina. I can, especially Marina, because she is a threat. You're not the only one, right, who's been accused of being ISIS, right? It's just, so Zaina, Marina, this is my favorite, Ambiga is also a part of ISIS. And I'm quite sure I saw pictures of her in Syria. Training with an AK-47. All right, okay. All right, so this Herald case, it went all the way up to the federal court, right? It went all the way up to the federal court. And the thing is, they used Allah and all the rest of it to refer to the Lord, and Tuhan to refer to God. All right, and being good Malaysians that they are, on every copy of the Herald, it says not for Muslims. So in case I was to see it somewhere, if some Catholic was callous enough to leave it lying around, and I was to see it, then I have warning. I don't, if I see the Herald there, it's like, oh, this is interesting. I like reading. It's like, it's not for me. Okay, so they've already done it. You see, they put the warning there to make sure that I don't get confused. Okay, thank you, Catholic people. So obviously there was measure. They were being very careful not to be accused of propagating. Right now, let's look back at Article 3. Islam is the religion of the Federation, but other religions may be practiced in peace and harmony in any part of the Federation. Now, okay, now I'm going to do Oprah, right? I'm going to ask them, what the hell do you think this means? Hello? Any volunteers? You guys are just like my students, huh? Yeah? When I ask questions, anybody? I mean, from a layman's perspective, what do you think this means? Islam is the religion of the Federation, but other religions, especially that second part, yeah? Other religions may be practiced in peace and harmony in any part of the Federation. What do you think that means? Sorry?
Pluralism.
Pluralism. You're being too fancy. You know, you're using big words. That's 3 entire syllables. Plural. 4 syllables. Sorry, someone's here? Someone?
It says, it means exactly what it says, that I can practice my religion as I see.
Right. I mean, that's what it sounds like, isn't it? I mean, like, you know, if you're a Hindu or if you're a Buddhist, you know, go on, do the thing that you do. Whatever that might be, right? Yeah, oh God, yeah.
So what's the point of the first sentence then? Why not just say, you have freedom of worship for everybody? Why Islam is the religion of the Federation? What's it trying to say?
It was put in by one of the bloody Reed commissioners. The dude from Pakistan. All right, okay? They've been causing trouble forever. All right, but anyway. The rulers didn't want it in there. The rulers didn't want it in there. And the alliance, when they put it in there, they said, okay, right, fine, if you must have it, we'll have it. But this does not mean that the constitution is not secular. They said that. It's in the report. It's in the Reed Commission report. So this term, Islam is the religion of the Federation, has been interpreted in the case of Cik Omar Cik Soh as meaning that for official functions, Islam would be the, you know, if you're going to have a religious element to it, it will be Islam. All right? But it doesn't mean that everything else. But that's not my point. So I'm not going to continue. We can talk about this later if you buy me a drink. Coffee. Okay, now, so it means what it looks like, right? Islam is a religion of the Federation, but other religions may be practiced in peace and harmony in any part of the Federation. It says, it does what it says on the tin. Right? If you're a Buddhist, go do your Buddhist thing. If you're Hindu, go do your Hindu thing. If you're Catholic, go do your guilt thing. Huh? Do it quietly. All right, okay? Now, in the Herald case, which went all the way to the federal court, the federal court interpreted Islam is a religion of the Federation, but other religions may be practiced in peace and harmony in any part. It says peace and harmony depends on us protecting the sanctity of Islam. How on earth did you I mean, I know, I'm a law teacher. I don't dare to say I'm a lawyer because actual lawyers don't like it when people like us say we are lawyers. So I just say I'm a law teacher. They just, this is the thing about lawyers, they're a pain in the ass, right? Any lawyers here? Can you put out your hand if you're a lawyer here, please? No, you're ashamed now. You're ashamed now, is it? Okay, anyway. So as a law, as a law person, I look at it, there isn't much room for interpretation there. It's fairly straightforward. But suddenly the federal court says this Article 3 actually means that we must protect the sanctity of Islam. So that is a huge leap in logic with regards to constitutional interpretation. Without any backing whatsoever, there's no historical context to this, there's no historical backing to this, there's a historical backing to say that Malaysia is secular, but there's no historical context saying that this line, this section, this article, which was put in almost as an afterthought by the Pakistani commissioner, means that we have to protect the sanctity of Islam. And this means that everybody has to, we have to back down. If we're going to do it, we're going to practice, and we got to protect the sanctity of Islam, and letting others use Allah is not protecting the sanctity of Islam. On top of that, there's the issue of public order, because they said, using Allah, if Catholics use Allah, there will be public order issues. People will be angry. People were angry only because the government made a big deal out of it. Nobody read the Herald. I don't think even the Catholics read the Herald. All right, okay, and and like I said, if you were to say it, this is for non-Muslims only. There was a warning. Okay, so where's the reason? When you have judicial decisions which seem to go against reason, and this is this is one of the limbs of government. That's very, very scary. Okay, let's move on a little bit. Another one, ZI Publications. This is ZI, I think stands for Zaid Ibrahim, right? But it was his son who ran it. Ezra. It's a funny name, isn't it, Ezra? So this was the Irshad Manji book. All right, Allah, Liberty and Love, which incidentally was published in English without any problems. But then there was a translation in Malay. Why do you people keep translating in Malay? Every time you translate into Malay, something happens. All right, okay? Damn it. It's not as if Malay people cannot read English, right? Okay, but Allah, Liberty and Love, except the Deputy Prime Minister. Yeah, but anyway, but apart from that. Allah, Liberty and Love was okay in English, but then it was translated into Malay. Allah, Kebebasan dan Cinta. Cinta sounds a bit gali, isn't it? Should be kasih sayang or something. But anyway, and that was banned. That was banned by JAIS. Okay, JAIS is the religious department of Selangor. Okay, now, JAIS gets its authority from a law, which is the Selangor Sharia Offences Enactment. The Selangor Sharia Offences Enactment is made by the Selangor State Legislature. Dude, are you filming me? No Facebook, okay, please? It's just for your own personal thing at night. Yeah, when you go home and, I need to watch Azmi again. Okay, so right, so the law which JAIS used, all right, is the Sharia Offences Enactment of Selangor. This law is made by the Selangor State Legislature. Let's go back to Article 10. Who has the right to make laws restricting your freedom of expression? Parliament. Now, a law which bans a book, is that, again, let me ask you, common sense, isn't that restricting expression? Of course it is. Of course it is. We have a state law which is made to restrict the freedom of expression by banning books. What does the court say? What does our great, honorable, reasonable court say? It's not about freedom of expression. That's exactly how they speak, yeah? It's not about the freedom of expression. No, I'm going to get in trouble for that. No. They speak in very manly voices. It's not about the freedom of expression. It is about making offenses against the precepts of Islam. So the ban, the law which banned the book, that law was not about restricting your freedom of expression. That law was really about creating an offense for actions which are against the precepts of Islam. So suddenly, you could have state legislatures, so long as they say, oh, this is about the precepts of Islam, this is, we can make laws controlling your freedom of expression. That's why they can, that's why JAIS and all that, if they wanted to, they get the state legislature to make the laws, and they can make laws banning any book, I argue, which touches on Islam, and they will say it's because it's against the precepts of Islam. And what is the precepts of Islam? The precepts of Islam is any bloody thing that they want it to be. There's no definition. Now, why is it that only Parliament can make laws restricting the freedom of expression? Because this is one of the fundamental rights that we have. This being the case, this right should be the same around the country. Right? So if you are in Sabah, you have the same right as someone who is in Penang. If you are in Johor, and I pity you if you are, you have the same right as someone who is in Perlis. But by doing this, by by allowing state legislative assemblies to make laws restricting the freedom of expression based on, because it's against the precepts of Islam, what you're going to have is you're going to have different rights depending on different states. Right? So if I was to drive up to Penang, for example, on the federal highway, I go through 5 different territories. First KL, then Selangor, then Perak. Then for about 10 minutes, I'm in Kedah. Then I'm in Penang. So can you imagine my freedom of expression changes as I'm driving north? I'm free. I'm not. I'm free. I'm not. I'm free again. Right? It doesn't make sense that our fundamental liberties can change depending on which state that we are in. This is the logic of the law. This is why only Parliament can make laws restricting your freedoms. This is reason, and it doesn't exist in court. I'm glad you stopped filming just then. Okay. This brings us to my last, the Tauliah issue. What the heck is this Tauliah business? A permission to preach. On what grounds? To talk about what? Now it seems that anything you want to talk about Islam, you need Tauliah. Because Mustafa Akyol was not teaching about religion. He was talking about religion in a context of society, of law, etc. He wasn't, I don't know. I haven't been to religious class in a long, long time. I don't know what is taught, but I don't think it includes a rational discussion. Now, okay, if anything about Islam needs a Tauliah, as a law teacher, and as a law teacher, I'm different from practicing lawyers, those who are in court, because they're practicing lawyers, I'm perfect. All right, okay? As a law teacher, RU 355, right? RU 355. Okay, so this RU 355 is the Hadi's baby, and it's also Najib's baby as well, isn't it? I mean, you know, we have a wonderful mother and father in Hadi and Najib. Okay, now they want to introduce this RU 355, which is basically trying to up the offences in the Sharia offences laws so that they can make the first few steps before they chop off our hands, etc., into what they say is Islamic criminal law. What they say, okay? I don't know whether it is Islamic or not, but it's what they say. All right, so the term Islam is there. Now, RU 355 is a law being debated in Parliament. As a law lecturer, should I or should I not have the right to talk about this law? Of course I do. As a law lecturer, should I or should I not examine this law in the context of its constitutionality? Of course I should. But do I need a Tauliah to do that? Of course I shouldn't. But now I'm not sure. Now I'm not sure. And this is very frightening. Because now they can ban you, as long as they label something as Islamic, they can control you. They can control what you write, they can control what you read, they can control what you publish. Now, the last thing. What do we do? Some people say we should challenge it, go to court, go to court. But it's a bit risky nowadays to go to court because you really don't know what's going to happen in court. You really don't know what decision is going to come out because it could make things worse. Right now, if things are in the gray area, you're not quite sure whether it's this way or that, whether it's constitutional or not, right? At least it's uncertain, right? But once you go to court, it can be firmed up. And it can be firmed up in a way which is actually even worse for us in terms of our freedoms. Okay? Now, there's a case in Negeri Sembilan, there was a case, the transgender case. I can't remember the exact name of the case. But basically, at the Court of Appeal, I mean, like, it was held that the laws made by the Negeri Sembilan Sharia laws and enforced by the Negeri Sembilan Religious Islamic Department against transgendered individuals was actually against their constitutional right. For example, the right to life. You know, if you say that a person cannot step out of the house if they're dressed in a particular way, how are they going to go to work? if you harass them, you're disturbing their right to life, etc. And I thought that was a very, very strong, very powerful decision. But then it went to the federal court, and now, here's the thing, right? And this is very, very, it's a bit complicated, so bear with me. If you want to challenge the constitutionality of a law, you basically start at the High Court, right? And then you can go up to the Court of Appeal, and then you go up to the federal court. That's the process. That's what happened to me when my lawyers challenged the constitutionality of the Sedition Act. We started in the High Court, and we should have been able to go to the Court of Appeal, etc. But the High Court said, no, let's just go straight to the federal court. Fair enough, right? But in this case, the transgender case, whose names I escape, I'm not being rude by just calling it the transgender case. I just can't remember the name of the case. In this particular case, they won the individuals won at the Court of Appeal, and then it went all the way. And then, of course, like Marina says, they never give up, right? They never quit. Okay, the government agencies in this country are like the Duracell bunny. They just go on and on and on. All right? Because they have the money. See, they have the money and they have nothing better to do. All right, so they went to the federal court. And the federal court made this decision, which was one point which they made. They said, oh, hold on, this constitutional stuff, you should ask us for permission before you can hear any constitutional cases. Now, this is very, very scary. Now, if this is the correct interpretation, if this is the interpretation of that court's decision, that all constitutional cases now have to go straight to the federal court to get their permission before it can be heard, this is very dangerous indeed, because we are losing the first two tiers, right? And let's not forget who's the Chief Justice of the federal court now, right? He is the extended judge. All right, okay? So, I'm sorry, I don't know, maybe I'm just worried whether the courts are the correct way to go. There's been too many cases where at the High Court you get a great decision, at the Court of Appeal you get a great decision, it goes all the way up to the federal court and you get a sucky decision, right? Do we take that risk? In any civilized country, the judiciary is the last port of call, your last chance at justice. In any reasonable country, that is also the case. That's not the case in Malaysia. Thank you very much.